OneTigris 10-foot by 13-foot tarp. I took the stakes and the guidelines and tensioners and the little stake bag out of the package, and I just have just the tarp inside the stuff sack. I'm going to take it back into UPS and see if I can put it on his scale for just a second and see how much just the tarp itself weighs. So YouTube, I took just the tarp in its stuff sack in and put it on their scale in UPS, and the tarp with just the stuff sack, no cordage or stakes, is 1 pound 14.8 ounces. So it's under 2 pounds. For a 10-foot by 13-foot tarp, that's quite amazing, and it's really high quality. So, okay guys, this is my first real quick setup. I found a kind of stealthy spot off the road. It's getting dark. Wow, this thing's a monster. I'd have to guess it is actually a true 13 by 10. If I had to measure it, it would probably be that. It's really, really high quality, my friends. It's a really crappy setup, sorry about that. But hey, you know, that's the first look at it. It does have a catenary curve between the corner to the middle, back to the other corner. And the ends are cut on a catenary curve. And yeah, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tie-outs down each side. And if you count the corner, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each end. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the middle. So this thing is awesome. And it'll set up really well for sleeping. I mean, it's kind of droopy tonight. I think that's mostly due to my setup. It's kind of drooping in the middle. And I'm not quite sure. I think that's part of my setup. I was just doing it real quick like. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any guidelines on. I got 2 guidelines, and I tried to tie kind of a ridge line to kind of try and pull that middle back up. But yeah, it didn't quite work out. But that's okay. This will work for tonight. We're back in business, my friends. This is an awesome tarp and way big coverage for hammock. 4 season, it's really solid material. Putting a lot of tension on these ends, but it's okay. The stitching is awesome on this. I don't see a flaw anywhere. No loose ends. Look at this. It's all, every tie out is reinforced like this. Isn't that amazing? Have a great night. Don't forget, smile. So YouTube, this is my OneTigris tarp. And this is why I like a 10 by 13 tarp. You see how much coverage I have on the ends? I can totally enclose this in and be good and dry. This tarp is awesome. And this is why I use a small piece of shock cord on my guide lines, is so that it allows it to move in the wind, but it still remains taut. You take up about half the slack of your shock cord. A little more, maybe. I still carry tree straps. They're 12-foot long weehee tree straps. Let me see if I can find there. 18 plus 1 loops, 1,000 pounds. Weehee Outdoors. They're fairly light and very, very strong. Very little stretch. Then I've got a Dyneema soft shackle going to my Dyneema whoopee sling. It's a little on the frayed side, but it's still really strong, not any danger of breaking. I've got the continuous loop right through the end of the hammock. I've got a Snug Pack tropical hammock. It's a single hammock. Very light, very tough. It's a really nice single hammock. I would venture to say with the whoopee slings attached and the stuff sack, this hammock comes in at under a pound. It was really cold last night, so I used it was down in the 30s, low 30s, so I used Reflectex, my Thermarest Ridge Rest, and then my Sea to Summit mattress with the Sea to Summit reactor liner, sleeping bag liner. I use that to go over my mattress in my hammock. It helps keep it in place, and most of the time when the weather gets a little warmer, I just use the mattress with the cover over it and use my sleeping bag as a top quilt. Just a little tip: when in a single hammock and using a mattress, because right now I can't afford an underquilt. There's a couple underquilts out there I've found that I'd really like to have, but I can't afford them. So I use what I use on the ground. But if you take and like 6 to 8 inches down from your suspension, bring the two ends of the hammock together with a fairly heavy-duty little spring clamp, and it helps hold everything in place. So it works out really well. So I've got my tarp set up in full porch mode today. Last night I buckled it down. Whoops. Hold on. So I buckled it down last night, but I I got it in full porch mode today. You know, I only found one little tiny spot in this whole tarp. And I have searched and searched. The ridgeline's perfect. All these tie-outs are absolutely awesome. They're very well constructed. This tarp is rock solid, 4-season tarp that comes in at just under 2 pounds for the tarp itself. You know, everybody's suspension for the tarp and their guideline setups and stake setups are different. I ditched the stakes it came with in favor of my cheap Kogan stakes from Walmart. They're very lightweight, and you can see they're a very long stake, and they're very, very tough. They've held up very well. I've got a few extra stakes, but I've got this whole package down. I mean, really light. This is as light as I can get my sleeping and tarp set up. And I absolutely have a palace here. It's awesome. I couldn't ask for a better tarp. This is the only flaw I found in the entire tarp. One little tiny spot of misstitch on the one row of the reinforcement. No big deal. No big deal at all. I'm quite sure if you ordered one and it came in and had a spot like that, it would be real easy to just send it back and they would give you a replacement. So it's a little hard for me to do that out here on the road. But I can live with that. I'll put a piece of tenacious tape over that. The other thing I was gonna do that they didn't do, I will suggest, is where they have these center tie-outs for the ridge line, they only just sewed it through the seam where the two halves meet up. They didn't reinforce it on the inside. So around all these tie-outs, I have some Sea to Summit air mattress patches that are nylon ripstop patch, and I've got some circular pieces. I'm going to put one on each of the 3 tie-outs. The other thing I intend on doing is where all these reinforcements are stitched onto the tarp, I'm going to take some clear silicone over the top of these, as well as that ridge line is set up. I'm going to run a bead of silicone across the outside of it as well. I'm going to probably put a strip of, run a bead of silicone over the edge strip. I want this thing completely sealed. It'll help strengthen it. I'll probably seal the inside of this stitch seam as well. And that'll give me an extremely solid shelter. It's not a deal breaker at all. I can do a little bit of work on it, and this will be an absolute perfect tarp for me. Thank you, OneTigris. Thank you, OneTigris. You make an awesome tarp. And I hope to be able to get some more of your gear one day. So, if you like the channel and you'd like to help out, I have a GoFundMe link up above in the header and down below in the comments. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile. It's so very important. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. God bless. Have a great day.